Good afternoon and welcome to the Smart Women Savvy Money 2010 webinar series. Happy New Year to everyone. This is René Nourse at Urban Wealth Management, and we do hope it's going to be a good year. We've had lots of interesting things that have occurred here over the last few months, and so we do expect to make the best of our lives. So with that said, I'd like to just go over a few housekeeping items. As you could tell from the start of the program, the call is being recorded. So for anyone who is not able to be on today's call, or if you want to listen to it again, we will be sending out the replay link. Also, that we want to kind of keep things on task and keep on schedule, because we know that you all are very busy people. And as a result, if you have any questions, please feel free to use your chat box to enter some questions. We hold these calls the second Thursday of every month, except for December, because we know that as ladies we are extremely busy, so we don't want to interrupt your busyness. But we do get a lot of ideas about what you'd like to have covered. So feel free to send us some topics, some ideas, and great speakers. We've also got great speakers that have come to us from visiting and being on some of our webinars. So having said that, let's kind of move on into our program. For some of you on the call, you might be familiar with the Smart Women Savvy Money webinar series. It is 30 minutes on the clock, 20 minutes to teach, and 10 to talk. The 10 minutes or 5 to 10 minutes at the end of the presentation is designed to address any questions or thoughts or feedback that anyone has. Over the next few months, as you can see, we've got some great topics, and we'll be filling all of those out. Come to our website to find out what the upcoming webinars or events actually are going to be. Next month, we're going to be talking about reverse mortgages. And I think that for many of us, there's been a lot of concern about what reverse mortgages do. There's a concept or a thought that, or a fear that the banks may take your house, but it has emerged as being a very, very good retirement income option. And so we're going to have a great speaker that will talk about that. In March, we're going to have a money coach, and also a psychologist will be talking about fear and how it could get in the way of managing your money. And then in April, we'll have our tech diva back, who will be talking about how to avoid a hack attack. And I don't know if many of you are aware, I've seen a lot of things on social media, on Facebook pages, etc., indicating that do not respond to an invitation to be someone's friend because it's not them. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, as well as from a business and a personal perspective, what kinds of things you can do to put in place to avoid being attacked. And certainly in today's news with conversations around the cybersecurity issues, especially during our election, if that can happen on a wide scale, think about what could happen to you on our own personal scale. Speaking of social media, we do have a Facebook page, and some of you on the call are members of our Smart Women Savvy Money Facebook page, so please feel free to visit that. It is invitation only, but just shoot us an email and we will make sure to send you an invitation to join the club. It's a much more personal space, and with that, we like to talk to people about things that are very relevant to what's going on in their own personal lives. But it's also a way for many of you to connect with each other about anything from jobs to conversation about any kinds of issues or challenges that you might be facing. January 21st, we are having our first all-women day conference, and this has been in the works for months, at least 6 months, and so it actually coincided with the National Women's March, as you probably are aware. So for those of you who will not be joining that march, we will also have just as much inspirational and motivational conversations and reasons why women need to be a lot more engaged in managing their personal lives and their financial lives. We've got a great lineup of speakers. We will be at the lovely Skirball Cultural Center. And the New Year, New You idea came about as a result of some of the topics that we will be discussing. In addition to that, we are raising money for 2 amazing nonprofits, Bloom Again and Empower Her. So all of the ticket proceeds will go to those 2 organizations. Due to the generous support of our sponsors, we are actually able to turn over all funds to the organization. So please come to our website if you haven't already to please register and get involved and meet some great people. We're going to have great speakers, great content, as you can see, great connections. So with that said, let's move into our presentation today. 5 strategies to get your money game on. And that's even more important for us as women. We tend to focus on the right now and not so much on the decisions that are being made today and how they're going to affect you in the future. So why we want to focus on that is that because it does provide you with a lot more options, a lot more choices. There's less stress, you can have more fun, and more importantly, you can create the lifestyle you desire and deserve. So most people fall into 3 categories. We're holding this at the beginning of the year because most people are making their resolutions for the year. And I'm willing to bet that one of those resolutions has to do with, I'm going to do better with my money. I'm going to manage it. I'm going to save more. I'm going to invest more. I'm going to pay off debt, etc. So, but most people fall into 3 categories when it comes to their resolutions. Either they have very good intentions and they intend to follow through on those resolutions, or they have too many and they're not successful at meeting any of those resolutions, and they end up falling apart down the road in a few months. And others, there's no intention of changing. They just are having the conversation. Yeah, I plan to do this, but don't really have any intention. So why this is kind of an important conversation, and what we're going to cover today is these areas and how it will impact your life in a much more substantial way. Why this is important. If you're conscious about managing your money and managing your finances, you'll be a lot more conscientious about future transactions, moves that you make. We want you to be attentive and, more importantly, to create some accountability in your life. Now, whether it is a mobile device, which we're going to talk about, or it's a person or financial planner, your tax advisor, a family member, to be able to have someone to whisper in your ear and say, do you really need those $300 pairs of shoes? Or if you are going to put off making a payment on something, what kind of impact is that going to have on the rest of your financial life for that month? We want you to look at things differently. How will your choices today affect your tomorrow? And again, as I said at the top of our conversation, we as women tend to focus on the moment, on today, what we have to do today, and not really giving a lot of thought to what will happen 5, 10, or 20 years later. Because the decisions we do make today have an impact on tomorrow. So we want you to think bilaterally and use what you have already. What we're talking about today is pretty simple. You already have these in your wheelhouse. You just need to look at it differently and use it differently, and we want to keep it simple and savvy. So, first tip. Is this you every month? Looking in that piggy bank. There's got to be more here. The last time I looked, there was still some money there. Or getting to that ATM machine and saying, whoa, what happened? This really throws off my plans for the month. So that happens a lot. And I do get this often posed and I'm sure a lot of financial advisors and planners do as well. I make good money. I don't know what happens to it. I don't know how my money is being spent or where it's going. So the first tip is you need to track your money. What are you doing with your finances? We have technology around us all the time. So use that technology to help keep you on track. And most of these programs are available on devices, smartphones, tablets, and desktops. The most popular ones are Mint, which is an Intuit company. You can use it on your desktop, and as you can see the young lady here with dollars coming out of her phone, she's tracking what her spending habits are or how much money she has saved for that month. Another one is Personal Capital, which is an aggregation tool as well. It allows you to see all of your accounts, but it has a little bit of a financial planning analytic in there as well. At Urban Wealth Management, our clients get a personalized dashboard plus accountability. We can pick up the phone because we can see that your spending is kind of out of control, or we can call you and say, hey, you've done a great job this month. So all of our financial plans that we provide for client on an ongoing basis is done in real time. It's not something that is projecting what will happen in the future. It's looking at what is happening right now and what kinds of things or habits do you need to institute to change. So first tip, track it. Are you charitably inclined? Most of us are. There are a number of organizations that we support, whether it's your church, it's a community-based nonprofit, a sorority. But I would also ask and recommend to get focused on your giving. If you are very involved with and are supportive of organizations that are all about education for children, or education for women who are returning to school. What are those bottom line characteristics of those kinds of organizations that you support, and zero in on those? Instead of taking a shotgun approach, you want to be much more focused in your approach. Most of us also wait through until the last few days of the year to fund our favorite nonprofits. And that's because they actually overwhelm us with lots of mail to remind us that they're there and that they're available to take more money. So what I would suggest to you instead is to plan for it throughout the year. Build it into your budget. If you are receiving or expect to receive, which many of you probably will, receive some kind of bonus money. Maybe your stock options from your employer's plan are going to be maturing or vesting. Maybe you'll get lucky and win the lottery. In any event, help yourself and help others and tuck it all away into a donor-advised fund. Now, donor-advised funds are an excellent way for you to plan out your charitable giving. It acts somewhat as a personal foundation without all of the red tape and the hassle and the tax filing. This is how it works. You can fund a donor-advised fund, and these are typically offered by large institutions. Vanguard, Schwab, Fidelity offer donor-advised funds. And individuals get the deduction in the year that they make the contribution to that fund. But you do not have to make and distribute the funds to those organizations in the same year that you make the contribution. So for example, let's say you're expecting a pretty big bonus and haven't figured out quite what to do with it, but you do want to work out from a tax perspective, you want to reduce your taxes. So let's say you're getting a $50,000 bonus. You decide to put $10,000 into a donor-advised fund. You get the deduction immediately for the $10,000, but you can take weeks, months, or even years to actually distribute the funds to the specific nonprofits. Many of you may sit on boards, and it's a give or get kind of a scenario where you either have to give money to that organization or raise it from other entities. So this is a great way for you to be able to meet that objective and on an ongoing basis be able to distribute those funds on an annual basis. It's a great tool. We've had a number of our clients who have used this as a means to help reduce their taxes, but also as a means of supporting organizations that, they feel passionate about. So is tax-free better than taxable or tax-deferred? I think so. So when you're thinking about building different buckets of income, whether it's for now or for later, you want to start focusing on how do you build this tax-free bucket. And there are a lot of ways that are, a lot of different strategies to do that, especially in an employment situation. There are lots of opportunities there that you may not be aware of. So Roth accounts can be your best friend. Many of you on the call, I'm sure, have a 401k. But the 401k also more than likely has a Roth component as well. Just by way of a backdrop, Roth accounts, whether it's an IRA or a 401k, are always funded with after-tax money. What that means is that typically you're not going to get any upfront tax benefits. With a traditional 401k contribution, whatever you put in reduces your taxable income. But if you're putting money into a Roth 401k or some component of it, you're not going to get any upfront tax benefits. So why would you want to do that? Because when you separate service, you've got an after-tax bucket that can be rolled into a Roth IRA. All the earnings on that money in that Roth 401k can also be rolled into a Roth IRA. The distributions ultimately are tax-free to you if they're coming out of a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k, and to your beneficiaries. So the Roth accounts come into two versions, either as a 401k or as an IRA. Now, the rules are different for Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks and how they can be funded. With Roth IRAs, they can be only funded by rollover from a Roth 401k. If you have after-tax money in a 401k, which is a different bucket, or if you convert a traditional IRA to a Roth or make a direct contribution to a Roth. So those are the ways that money can get in. But if you're making a direct contribution to a Roth IRA, it's subject to some income limitations. And if you're making more than what is shown here on the screen, then you're prohibited from making a direct Roth IRA contribution. But you can still get money into that by doing a conversion or rolling over a Roth 401k. The other advantages with having a Roth IRA is that there's no required minimum distribution rule, which means that you are not forced to have to take money out of that Roth IRA as you do with a regular IRA. And if you're continuing to work past 70.5, you can continue to fund it, which you can't do with a traditional IRA. If your income exceeds the levels that are indicated here, you can take advantage of a strategy called a backdoor conversion. We don't have time to talk about it right now, but it's a very popular move, and it allows people to get money into that account and build up a substantial amount. The Roth 401k, on the other hand, does not have any wage or income limitations. You could be making several $100,000 a year and be able to fund the Roth 401k. You get to keep the employer match. You can contribute to either or both sides of the 401k, the pre-tax and the after-tax side. The cool part is when you leave, you can roll that into a Roth IRA. Now, I just had recently a client who worked for a company for a number of years, 20 years, was not aware that she had a Roth 401k component, but she was funding more than the annual 401k limits. So it ended up in an after-tax bucket inside of her 401k. Well, now she's planning to retire and found out that there's $200,000 roughly of contributions and another $100,000 of earnings. She's been at this company for a while. So she's actually able to roll over all of that into a Roth IRA and now has a tax-free bucket of money that she can tap into. There are some other rules and regulations around that, but nevertheless, it's tax-free. It will be tax-free after a certain period of time and after she reaches a specific age, which is 59 and a half. But after-tax money into these accounts and establishing them is a great way to start building up monies that will never be taxed to you or your beneficiaries. Another employer benefit is health savings accounts. And this is another way to acquire and build up tax-free monies. Now, health savings accounts is an excellent planning vehicle for future and current healthcare-related expenses. There's tax deductibility. Contributions are not subject to federal taxes. And depending on the state that you live in, there could be some deductibility. Employers can also contribute to health savings accounts, and it becomes property of the employee immediately. It's also portable. A lot of people get HSAs and FSAs mixed up. And ladies, I had to put the Trumps in there because health savings accounts do trump flexible spending accounts. There are some similarities, but there's some big differences. The biggest thing that you need to keep in mind is that health savings accounts must be paired with a high deductible health plan. The deductible has to be at least $1,300 for singles. Now, many of you might say, why would I want to do something like that? Because the contributions that you make to the health savings account, those monies can be withdrawn to meet your deductible and any other copay expenses that you have. But if you don't need to use your plan for the year, you don't have a use it or lose it feature. That money can stay in there and it can continue to earn because it's typically invested in mutual funds, similar to what you might find in a 401k. You can continue funding it until age 65, and as I mentioned before, it's portable. It has higher contribution limits than the flexible spending account, which currently is around $2,200 or so, and it depends on the employer. Currently with the health savings accounts, you can fund, if you're filing single, up to $3,400. Plus, if you're age 50 or older, you can put in an additional $1,000. So $4,400 across the top reduces your federal taxable income. So if you're doing that alongside funding a 401k, you've got a significant amount of funds that you can be funding and will reduce your taxable income. The unused premiums, though, contributions that you make, remain in the account, can be withdrawn tax-free for medical expenses, including paying for premiums, long-term care premiums as an example. If you don't use any of the expenses, you can only fund it till age 65. And then after age 65, if you're not using it for medical expenses, you can withdraw it and use it for income. So it's another retirement income bucket, but it would be taxed as income at that point. But anything that is withdrawn, contributions, earnings that you use for qualified medical expenses is tax-free. Are you saving for a kid's college education, whether it's your own or a grandchild, or you're paying off some student loans? There's an outstanding loyalty program for items that you purchase every day, and it will accumulate points that can be converted into cash that can go into your college savings plan, 529 plan, or it can be used to pay down federal student loans. You can also make it a friends and family affair and have other people contribute to your account as well. And this, my friends, tip number 5, and is our last tip, is the You Promise program. The You Promise program is a loyalty program that converts rewards into cash for federal loan payments, or it can be added to a 529 plan. There are a variety of vendors, everything from restaurants to travel, to gas, to mortgages, online shopping, and there are flash sales as well. The rewards amount to anywhere from 3% up to 10% for purchases that are made. And if you sign up for their no-fee MasterCard, it can double and triple those points. The points accumulate in your account, and then you can go in and request that those points be converted into dollars to be added to your student loan account or to be added to your 529 plan. It's free. It's simple and it's easy. So those are your 5 tips. There are more that we have listed on our website. Please come to our blog. We did write another piece on 5 ways to up your money game as well, and there's additional ideas there that we can share with you. So you want to start your year out strong and make it a great money year. The key is you need to plan, more importantly prioritize, and then plan that out. Build accountability into your planning. Up your 401k contribution levels. If you are only putting in 5%, 6%, whatever that amount is, you want to get up to the point where you're maxing out. So dial it up a little bit, put in additional 1 or 2% this year. If you are turning 50 this year, you can put away up to an additional $6,000, which would be a maximum of $24,000. 18 as a base, another 6 for the catch-up provision. But you have to make a separate election to do that. Many people just assume that the companies know that they're age 50 or over 50 or whatever, and that they change their contribution limits, but the money doesn't go into the right accounts. It may end up in an after-tax account. So you must elect to do the catch-up. If you're considering setting up, converting, or adding to an existing Roth account or a new account, please, please, please reach out to your financial and or tax advisor before making any moves. It's a great strategy, but it's very complex, and timing is everything with these. Last thing is that tax reform is on the horizon. The new administration, I am absolutely sure, is going to be focusing on reducing taxes. We'll probably see corporate tax reform first, but personal income taxes will also be on the horizon. So keep your eyes and ears open for that, because it could give you that opportunity to hold back if the income tax reform doesn't kick in until 2018. If you can defer taking income until then, if you anticipate being in a lower bracket under the new tax laws, then it will give you an opportunity to do that. So with that, I will open it up for questions. And please use your chat box if you have any questions. We had a couple of comments of people that said they just learned something new and how awesome, and thank you. I think that that's great. I hope that you did learn a lot of great things today. If there are no further questions, we're at the half-hour mark. If anyone does want to have any conversation, please feel free to reach out to us. You can email us. And we look forward to having you on our future webinars. And hopefully we'll see you out on the 21st for the New Year, New You program. With that, make it a great day, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.